What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson. So that doesn't feel quite right. Hang on, I know what it is. Yes! Whew, now I feel much better. So, 3-0 against Leicester at Leicester. Brilliant result. But first, before I talk about that, I just want to talk about some of the build-up to this game because, obviously a lot of stories going on outside of the game. So the first one, of course, is the big one, Costa. Now, obviously a lot has been said, a lot has been not said. It's a big question of what exactly is going on. All the reports are saying that apparently there was a bust-up between Costa and the fitness coach, and then Conte was overheard saying go to China, and then there are talks that apparently a Chinese team has met with Costa's agent. There's been a lot of talk about a big move and a lot of money. Now, there are a few things I want to take away from this. One, don't believe everything you hear, because there are two different stories that we're hearing right now. We're hearing all of the media saying there's a problem, Costa looks like he's probably going to China, and then everybody at Chelsea is like, there's no problem, and Costa's good. Conte said he just had some back pain. Alonso after the game was like, nah, he's good, there's no problem there, he wants to stay. So, obviously, somebody's got to be lying. Either somebody is fabricating the truth, or there was a misunderstanding on the media side and they're just blowing it out of proportion. Either way, don't believe everything you hear. Secondly, I don't think Costa deserves as much blame as he's getting. Obviously, if there was an issue, I don't know how much of the fault was his, but everybody's talking about, oh, if he moves to China, what a sellout, oh, he's going for money. Really think about that for a second. I mean, just think about the fact that right now at Chelsea, he's probably making maybe $500,000 a week. I mean, not a week, a year. So that's what, $100,000 a week? They're talking about a $30 million a year deal for him. That's a lot of money. That is $600,000 a week. And obviously, translated euros, all that stuff. But really think about that for a second. Obviously, I have no doubt that there's a part of him that does want to play for Chelsea. But at the same time, that type of money can pay for a lot of stuff. It can help so many people. It can help his family. He could give some of that to charity and still have enough left over to spend on who knows what. So, I don't know. I don't think blaming him for wanting to go to China for that type of money, I don't think that's right. I think you have to consider the fact that most of us probably would if we got that deal. And then, of course, the other thing to talk about is, of course, the Chinese Super League and how ridiculous it's getting. I mean, it's shameful at this point. Because at first it seemed like, oh, they're just buying up some top players that aren't really getting the time. Ramirez was one, and then they took Oscar because he wasn't really getting time, and then they took Mikel, which actually is probably more of a blessing for us than it is for them. So, yeah, I'm looking at all of this, I'm like, yeah, they're just taking some of our players that aren't playing a whole lot, but are still good. Still quality players trying to fill up this league. And then next thing you know, there's talk that they're offering $200 million for Ronaldo. And now all of a sudden they're offering a ton of money for Costa. And it's like, okay, now you're trying to take players that are actually playing, and you're unsettling them with this type of money being thrown around. It's become ridiculous. And honestly, the fact that they're only offering to players from our team right at this moment, it kind of shows that they're getting a little bit clingy. If you ever, I obviously I've never had to deal with this before, but imagine like there's this kid back in like elementary school or middle school, and you offer them a snack one day because they forgot their lunch, and they're just like, oh, thank you. And then the next day they forget their lunch again, and you give them their snack again. You're like, here you go, helping them out. And then the next day they forget their lunch again, maybe, and now they're asking for your sandwich. It's like, see, now that's becoming a problem, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a clingy kid who's like, oh, they were friends with me. They gave me some of their players. Let me take more players from them. Let me keep offering for their players. It just seems really desperate, but those were the big three things going into the game for Chelsea. The other big story outside of this is the games before. You've got Tottenham winning easily against West Brom 4-0. You got Arsenal winning easily against Swansea 4-0. Both of these games, Tottenham looked good, but West Brom did kind of give the game away at a couple points. They played out of their comfort zone, it looked like. They weren't as organized as they usually are. And of course, Arsenal beating Swansea is like, if you don't beat them by a big amount, then people start talking. So looking at those two games, it's like, okay, so those two games are over. Tottenham is in second place. I think it was Tottenham. It was either Tottenham or Arsenal. Either way, one of them, they're in second place, but they're 4 points behind Chelsea. This is a chance for Chelsea to take this game and say, we've got this. We don't have Costa today. There's some issues possibly. We're just coming off a loss to Tottenham. This is Chelsea's chance to say, we're still the favorites for the title. And they did that. And that, I think, is the biggest statement that they could have made. 3-0 win at Leicester. That's a big win. That is a good win. So that's all of the stuff pre-game. Let's get to the actual game. So referees today, hit and miss. You kind of let the play go a lot. There were a couple moments where it looked like it may have been a dive in the box and then didn't call anything. Then there were a couple looked like it should have been a foul, didn't call anything. He just let the game play. The nice thing was, though, it was both sides. It wasn't like, oh, Chelsea player falls down, he doesn't call it. Leicester player falls down, oh, I'm going to call that one. No, it was both ways. Most referees have been poor, so. As far as the lineup goes, I was a little disappointed not to see Ake at least on the bench, especially considering Ivanovic and Loftus-Cheek were on the bench. And of course, Loftus-Cheek did get to play a little bit, but when I heard he was coming back, I was really, really hoping that he would just get right in there, fit right into the team, because he's been playing well at Bournemouth. I think he's had a lot of time to develop his game. He's had a lot of time as well to play for a team where he is the one who's having to make those last-ditch challenges. And that can really help you as a player, to play on a weaker team against some of the top teams and having to just put in challenge after challenge because the rest of your teammates aren't doing it for you. Coming into a team like Chelsea where the team works together, I think he could really fit in very well. The question is, though, where's he going to play? Is he going to play at one of the center back roles, or is he going to play out left where Marcos Alonso is? Well, looking at the lineup, same lineup as we went against Bournemouth, except I think we had Fabregas in instead of Conte because he was suspended. But, Conte and Matic in the middle, and then you got the same back five. You got the top three without Costa and no Batshuayi, of course, because Conte still doesn't trust him yet. So, I'm looking at it like, yeah, it's a fairly good lineup. I wish Ake were on the bench, but, what we do have on the bench is some youth, and we've got some players that can come on and change the game. So, game gets going. Alonso scores after 6 minutes. I'm like, there you go. Brilliant. It was a well-worked goal. Great cross from Azpilicueta. Pedro puts the defender off enough to where he heads it back into Hazard's path, passes it, or lays it off for Alonso, who finds the back corner. Very nice goal. Kind of shows that Alonso is not dead yet. He's still not a great player. I still think we could... I don't know what that is. Hang on. I still think that there might be better options than him. But the two goals that he got today, both were well worked. Both were nice finishes as well. That one particularly was a really, really nice finish. The second one came off of a corner. Just good cross in. Bounces around a little bit. Marcos Alonso is there first. Nice volley. Deflection takes it past the keeper. Nice goal. And then we get into the second half, and the third goal comes along through Pedro and Willian. Probably my favorite goal of the night, just because of the nice touch from Pedro. Just lets it bounce off his left foot right into Willian's path. Has a shot, bounces, actually was trying to cut it back. Bounces off Schmeichel, right to Pedro. Header, goal. All three were really nice goals. Really hard work to get it done. Hard work to get it through all of the bodies as well. They were goals I expect. There weren't the struggling goals where you're just like having to press and finally like bumbles off of somebody and in. And it wasn't like a beautiful goal where it's, Andy Carroll with a bicycle. But there were still nice goals to watch. There's still goals where you see the build-up play, you see all of the movement going on, and eventually it comes to a nice finish. So as far as the individual performances go, Courtois had a few saves to make. There was one in particular where Vardy turned Cahill, has a bit of a cross. Nobody really commits to it, and so he has to last second get a hand to it or risk it bending towards the back post. So his reactions were good. I thought he set up the play very well a couple times off of corners, grabbed it, looking for that ball to set up the counterattack. And that's something that I think he does really well. And I think in this game we saw it a bit more than we have been in the past few games. He just sets up the counterattack so nicely. He's got it out of the air. He's looking, finds the player, throws it to him. It's always nice to have a keeper who can see that and play it. Defense, Cahill, still some issues. He had a couple good moments. His bicycle was pretty nice. Unfortunately, hit Morgan. But, he played okay. I still think there are moments where you can see he's lacking a bit. The moments where it's one-on-one and then a cross comes in, most of the time it's coming from his side and it's a good cross. Like, he's not doing enough to stop it or he's not doing enough to make it a bad cross. So that's definitely the weak side. You can see it. You can see it game after game. You could see it against Tottenham. You could see it tonight. We got to do something to assure that, and I honestly think Ake would be a good fit there. But like I said, not on the bench. But yeah, so he, average game for Cahill. David Luiz, didn't see a whole lot from him. Just as far as defense goes, he had a couple good challenges, but I don't think he had as much to do tonight as he normally does. Going forward, though, he did play a few nice balls over the top and, constantly looking for that. And it's always nice to have a defender who has that mindset. Just like you have a keeper who's constantly looking to set up the counterattack, to have a defender who's looking for that long ball over the top to any three of the top front players, it's nice. It sets up the attack really well. It puts the defense on high alert so they can't just shut down. Anytime they turn off, David Luiz finds that ball and all of a sudden Pedro's through or Hazard is through. So it makes it really nice to have that assurance back there that we can get into the attack whenever we want to. And then Azpilicueta had back to, in my opinion, a good game for him. He had difficulties against Tottenham. He really struggled there. But I think tonight he definitely stepped it up, both defensively and going forward. He started to get into the attack a little bit more, and while it can be hurtful at times whenever he gets caught out of position, it also shows he does have quality on the ball as well. His cross that set up the first goal was really nice, good positioning. So up into the midfield, Matic and Conte worked really well together. Matic, I think, probably had his best game in a long time. Just dominated the midfield with his presence. Anytime a Leicester player was on the ball, you see him organizing people. You see him trying to move people around. It was really wonderful to see. And then Conte, of course, just that workhorse and just constantly stepping in, trying to win the ball, putting pressure on people. He doesn't stop, and it's nice to have a player like that in there. And the wingbacks, back to Alonso and Moses again, and they both did well. Alonso, obviously, with the 2 goals, did really well. Defensively, he stepped up tonight as well, too. I'm really repeating myself a lot. He stepped up as well, too. That's the same thing, Mason. Come on. But yeah, he stepped it up, looked better, more solid defensively, and I think there are a couple times where, especially because you've got Cahill behind you, if he doesn't step in and win a certain ball, it's troublesome, and it can cause some serious issues. Moses on the right side, I think, looked a lot stronger tonight, just really driving at players. And it's funny because Alonso, normally I'm talking about his attacking, and Moses I'm talking about his defending. Tonight, Alonso's defending was actually better, and Moses' attacking was better. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a flip-flop night, and of course Alonso did well attacking with the 2 goals, but they just both stepped it up tonight, looked a lot better, maybe because they got a bit more rest. That could be it, just because they played so many games in a row, they were starting to slow down, but I don't know what the reasoning is, but they definitely looked better tonight. And then the top 3, Pedro, Willian with Hazard up top. Just all 3 worked really well off of each other. The only one I had a little bit of an issue with was Willian, just because you look at Hazard and you look at Pedro, both of them are players who can move the ball around really nice and really quickly. Willian is more of a pick up the ball and dribble at people type of player. So it's kind of hard whenever you see Pedro and Hazard combining and then it lays off to Willian, who should play a quick little one-touch pass in behind, but he doesn't have that quality. That's not the game that he normally plays. And so he takes a bad touch or his pass isn't quite right, and now Leicester have got it and they're coming back at us. And like I said, I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I just don't think that's his game. That's not the type of player that he is. So either, whenever it's Hazard, Pedro, and Costa, that's when the combining really works. Whenever it's Hazard, Willian, and Costa, that's whenever it's more Hazard has to take people on and Willian has to take people on. It really changes the way we play. And unfortunately tonight, I feel like it could have been more. It could have been 5-0 possibly if they had adapted up top a bit more, because it felt like it took them a while to realize we can't play this quick little 1-2 stuff with Willian out here, because that's not his game. So, he still played well though. I think Pedro played much better tonight. I've had issues with him in the past, and unfortunately, just because he played well tonight does not mean he's good. There's still moments where he has a good game and then the next game he's terrible. So that's a possibility. But he definitely did step up tonight. And then Hazard just constantly threatened the back line. It's interesting to see him because he actually drops off into space sometimes to pick up the ball and kind of dribble and just force players to come challenge him. Because if you don't step out and challenge him, he has the time and the space to play in that nice ball. So it's forcing some of the midfielders to step back and cover, or one of the defenders to step out and cover him. He definitely puts a lot of pressure on people whenever he's near the ball. The 3 subs, I don't mind. I actually, aside from Loftus-Cheek, I would have preferred to see Chalobah, but I don't mind the 3 subs, aside from that one. The problem I have with it, though, is once again, they're coming really late in the game. All 3 of them came after the 78th minute. And I'm thinking, as soon as we scored the 3rd goal, which I can't remember what the time was. I want to say it was like 70th minute maybe. But after we scored that 3rd goal, I thought, okay, now make a couple subs. Get Chalobah on, get Loftus-Cheek on if you want to, get Batshuayi on. And then he waits and waits and waits. In the 78th minute, he brings on Fabregas for Hazard. Like, okay, but what about the youth? What about Batshuayi? And then finally, in like the 83rd, 84th minute, then he brings on Batshuayi and Loftus-Cheek. Like, this is way too late. You can't just keep giving him 5 minutes and expect him to get better. You have to give him more time, especially when we're up by such a large amount. Why not give him a chance to go out there and score? Like, that's what I don't understand about this whole Batshuayi trying to find his form in the Premier League. He's not going to find his form if you're just giving him 5 minutes. That's not enough time for a player to grow into a game. You've got to give him the time to grow into it, or else he's never going to get better. So that's the one problem I do have from this game, is just the subs again are way too late. As far as the performances though, Fabregas came out there and that's when we started to really just control the game. Fabregas picks up the ball in the midfield, and at that point it's like we're just on the attack and we can't stop attacking, because I don't know what it is about him, but whenever he picks up the ball, it feels like we're not going to lose possession anytime soon. He has such a calmness on the ball. He always finds the right pass. He's really stepped up his game this season, and I love watching him play. Batshuayi came on, did a few half-decent things. Like I said, didn't have a chance to grow into the game at all. But you see the work ethic is there, and as far as I know, he's still not complaining about his game time, so that's always nice. And then Loftus-Cheek, I said before I'm not a big fan of him, mainly because I just think his work ethic, unlike Batshuayi's, isn't there. If you watch him give away the ball, most of the time his head drops or he just kind of stops and starts walking. That's disappointing in my opinion, especially from a youngster. You want to see your youngsters flying all over the field, trying to win the ball back if they lose it. Loftus-Cheek is the exact opposite of that. He's the type of player who, whenever he's on the ball, he's great. He does some nice stuff. He loses the ball or the pass doesn't come to him, and the shoulders drop, you're just like, he's done. He's out of the play. If the ball comes anywhere near him, he's not winning the ball. So I don't know, I'm a little bit disappointed with him. I've enjoyed seeing Chalobah play. I would have preferred to see him out there, but maybe because he played the full 90 minutes against Peterborough, maybe that was part of the reasoning why he didn't play. Like I said, I'm not in Conte's mind. I have my preferences. So overall, another 3 points. We lost. We're right back on the winning track. We won again. Now we're 7 points ahead until Liverpool and Man U play tomorrow. And in that situation, two top teams playing each other. One of them is going to drop points, possibly both. I would love to see a 0-0 tie. So, yeah, we could be 7 points up tomorrow, and that would be absolutely incredible. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Who's your man of the match? What did you like and dislike about this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe to future Chelsea reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.